Not ready for the combo to be done yet. Patch them together. Just patch them together. Adrian, sorry about that, brother. Zoom just completely crashed them. Anyways, continue. Sorry about that.
So yeah, man. When you talk to parents and you bring the kid and you bring them and you can get a sense for the family, it says a lot about the kid. Brother, when I get recruits come in and they come by themselves, everybody says yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Right? They tell you what you want to hear. And whoever's shopping those kids, whether it's a high school coach or a summer league coach, they want to push for their guy. Maybe they don't know him as well as other coaches, right, or the parents. But when you talk to the parents, you get a good feel for how the kid is, right? And brother, we were 6 outs away from going back to back in the state tournament here in Florida, and we have one Division I recruit, right? So that says a lot, brother. We were winning 3-2 in the 8th, and the game just got away from us from our closer. Ultimately Central Florida was a better team that day. But we were 6 outs away from going back to Grand Junction, and I got one Division I recruit, right? A guy that transferred in from FIU who's going to Pitt now, right? So it says a lot about what we're building in Miami-Dade and the culture that's there, and it says a lot about what it really takes to win, right? And it's getting all those kids, the 28 kids, 26 kids you have, to buy in, right, to the culture, to winning, to the coaching staff, and that's how you win, right? Who was going to say that Witt was going to be a big leaguer, right? Coach Tanner tricked us. He would always make us believe that we were the underdogs.
Right.
Even though Witt hit 340, 360 every year, he made us believe that we didn't have talent, right? He knew we did, but he made us believe that we were always the underdog, right? And it's a credit to him, the coaching staff. And we played like that. We always played with a chip, like we weren't supposed to be there for the first year. The second year was completely different, but that first year, he made us believe that. And they did a great job. And ultimately, when you're recruiting guys, you got to look at the parents, right? And what type of characters the parents and you got to do your homework because it says a lot about what you bring in, right? The recruiting is huge, and a lot of guys can play, but not everybody's a winner, right? So you need to find what makes those guys the winners. And that's character, man, and culture and being a family. And ultimately, that's how you need to recruit.
Now, I know, obviously, Adrian, you didn't play in the 2012 season, but you think back to the run that you guys started. Obviously, you win back-to-back national titles, then it goes into 12, and you get to the final, which, we've talked about this before, but it's so funny. Like, that 12 team is just completely forgotten because they didn't win it all. But, they got to a third straight. But that consecutive postseason victories mark, and I forget the exact number. I think it's like 24, 26, something crazy. Like, it'll never be touched. It'll never be broken. And I remember sitting there as a fan. 2010, we've talked before, it was like the magic of just getting there and winning the first one. 2011 being very much so businesslike. And it became, but you're sitting there and you're watching, and it's just game after game after game. You guys are finding ways to win. And it really did have this feeling of, we can't lose. Like we just, like, what's it like being in the middle of that? Like, I just can only imagine, like, every time you get into a late game scenario, every time you need a big base hit. You think of 2011 against Florida, and it's like all the numbers and statistics and the odds, they all say they're against you. I think of 2012 in the regional against Clemson, LB Danzler hitting a walk-up. Like, every late game moment, it's like, we got it. Like we literally just cannot lose. Like what's it like being in the middle of a magical run like that, if you will?
Well, you don't know you're in it, right?
Right.
You don't know you're in one, right? And Tanner and the coaching staff would always say the most important innings are the 6th through the 9th.
Mm-hmm.
We can play clean baseball from the 6th through the 9th, right? He would just repeat it, right? Almost like it stuck with you once you looked up at the scoreboard and it hit the 6th inning. It's almost like something in your mind, flicked on and said, okay, 6th through the 9th, this is where we make our money, right? And if you go watch it, and if you go back and watch the games, we didn't beat ourselves from the 6th through the 9th, right? We didn't make mistakes. We didn't walk guys. We didn't make any errors. We got the bunts down. We made all the plays we needed to make. And then once you get out of jams for a certain amount of games and you're put in those situations over and over, you become comfortable in those situations, right? So it's almost like, the bases loaded, one out. Hey, we've been here before. We've done this before. We've gotten out of it before. It's okay. We got it, right? So there's almost a calm, right, that the team had. And it comes back to for the coaches, right? And again, knowing your guys, right? Knowing when the bases were loaded. I'm not going to go get a lefty who maybe leave the ball up with a changeup. No, I'm going to go get Jose Mata, or I'm going to go get John Taylor, submarine guys who can get me a ground ball. My defense is really good. I'm going to go get these guys. Mm-hmm. And we knew as infielders, when those guys came in, we were going to get a ground ball, right? So it was almost like we were all on the same plan, right? It's not like Tanner would go get a guy and we were like, what's this guy doing? Just bringing in this guy, it's not the matchup. No, everybody knew, hey, this is the perfect matchup. John Taylor or Mata, they're going to get a ground ball to short right here. We're going to get out of it, right? Or they go get a strikeout guy in Matt Price or Ethan Carter or whoever, right? And they just knew, man, and we were in it for so many games in the SEC and the grind of the SEC that you just become accustomed to being in those games, right? I remember against Vanderbilt, 1-0 ball game. The whole way through, we faced a minimum my junior year at Vandy to win the series on a Sunday, right? So we were in a lot of those situations as a team that we had, and ultimately that's what those teams were, right? They weren't the home run hitting teams, right? It was those type of teams, right? Clutch hitting, defense, pitching, timely hits. And once you're in those situations a lot and you can't really practice and train for them, right? You just got to be in them, right? And that's why if you're bringing in a freshman class, you want to try to get them as much playing time as you can if they're freshman phenoms, right? And those are your guys for the future, right? Because you want those guys in it so when they're juniors, they've been in it for 2 years already, right? So credit to Carolina that had Braswell in there, right? He was a shortstop for them all year, right? And he closed for them. So that kid's only going to get better and better and better, right? So if you're in those situations often and you've been successful, right, you become accustomed to being in them, and it's a comfortability factor that you get. And then there's no more nerves, right? You're just playing the game. And that's ultimately what you want your team to do, right? It's to play nerve-free, right? And those are the teams that win games, man, especially late.
Yeah. You mentioned Jose Mata and John Taylor. I'm just laughing, though, because, dude, I don't know if people remember it. He had 50 appearances in 2011. I mean, it was like death taxes and John Taylor's going to pitch today. Yeah. I mean, that's just – I mean, I don't know exactly how many games were played in 2011, but it was probably like 65. He pitched in 50 of them. I mean –
brother, those guys are so uncomfortable to hit.
Great. I was going to ask you, I don't feel like guys like Mata and Taylor exist anymore. Like everybody just throws 100. Do you think we'll ever see those sub guys come back? Or was that just like a pocket of baseball history where those guys flourished?
I think with everything that's going on now, right, what the scouts are looking for and the high velo and all of this stuff, that's what they're looking for. Do I think there's still roles for those guys? Yes. Yeah. Right? Because you just said it, right?
Because it's such a different look, right? I mean, it's just such a different look. Yeah.
It's a different look, right? So you're facing a righty who's 94 to 98. And then you go bring in a guy like John Taylor that's throwing submarine or Mata that's throwing from down there. You have to completely make an adjustment to everything, right? Where maybe with the guy that's 95, you're looking to get on top of fastballs up in the zone. Now you got to be looking down. Now that ball that's running two seamed in, the slider that's a frisbee that starts as a strike and ends up as a wild pitch. Brother, that's tough to hit. So at least for me as a coaching staff, I want to be able to have guys that have different looks, right? I can bring in a little lefty that's crafty, that's going to get a bunch of lefties out, that's going to get weak contact, right? And at my level, it's different, right? But you want to be able to have guys that got different looks, different arm angles, right? Different type of pitches, right? So you're not running out there, everybody that's 94, 97, but it's the same thing over the top with an over-the-top breaking ball, and you're working the top of the zone, right? You're not changing anything, right? You're facing 3 of those guys in a day. You're facing ultimately the same guy, right? So what's the difference? What adjustments do hitters need to make? You make that 8th inning, 9th inning at bat very comfortable, right? So there's still room for that. The guys need to take chances and not just be so tone deaf on velo. You got to be able to get outs, brother. And I want guys on the team that are going to get outs. And John Taylor and Jose Mata did it. Jose Mata snaked 8 wins his junior year, right? So he doesn't get talked about much, right? And he had 8 wins. He was second on the team over Dyson, right? He come in on a Sunday, throw the 5th through the 7th, and he got the win, right? So again, brother, that coaching staff, what they did, they pushed all the right buttons, they made all the right moves, they recruited the right guys, and everything just kind of gelled, right? But I think baseball is starting to change a little bit. And I've spoken to some scouts down here in Miami about not just going after the guy that's 100 miles an hour, right? Maybe adding a guy that has pitchability, that's got 4 pitches, that everything moves. We faced a guy last year that was the ace now at Ole Miss. DeLucy, something like that.
Yeah.
And dude, he was at Northwest Florida last year. He was 89 to 92. He was the toughest arm we faced because he can throw the slider at any time. His fastball had 2-seam run. He had a changeup. He worked fast. That guy came down here and beat Arizona in game 1 of the regional. Right. So it says a lot about what they're doing at Ole Miss, right? Where they added a guy who's 89, 92, and he's their ace.
Yeah. No, it's the game has changed, certainly. I wanted to get your take on that, too, on the hitting side of things, because power, it's all about power. I think the baseballs are probably juiced, to be honest with you. I don't know if you saw, it was a record in the regionals we're seeing games that are, I don't know if you watch any of the Stillwater regional. We got games that are 21-16, looking like football scores out here. My question to you, though, is this, Adrian, Coach Morales, the bunt. Why can college hitters not bunt, Adrian? Nobody can bunt. The bunt, I'll tell you this, it is worth, I tell people this all the time, it is worth the price of admission to any college game to watch college hitters try to bunt. It's hysterical. It's truly hysterical.
Well, so you got to practice that, right? And if you're not doing it in high school, right, and it's not being preached throughout the whole fall, when the time comes, you can ask that guy to do it.
Yeah.
And I've seen that, right, where a guy will bunt somebody over, and the guy's never bunted all year. Right now, he pops up a bunt, and the catcher catches it. Well, how do you expect the guy to get it down if he's never done it all year, and you don't even practice it? Right? So, again, dude, and I learned this from Vanderbilt, right? Because, dude, if you watch this play when I was there in South Carolina, we bunted.
Oh, yeah.
I bunted a lot, right? I didn't want to bunt, but I bunted a lot. I wanted to stay in the lineup. And when you watch Vanderbilt, they beat us in the SEC tournament. They had their 3-hole and 4-hole safety squeeze, 3 and 4 hole safety squeeze, right? And then I got reporters asking me after the game, were you guys not prepared for the safety squeeze? So I'm like, well, we didn't credit to Vandy. We didn't think they were going to bunt with their 3rd and 4th batter, right? But they did a good job of preparing their guys so when the time comes, they're able to do it, right? I don't like the bunt. I never liked the bunt as a player, right? I got guys that bunt on my team, right? The starting guys, brother, you're a 290, 300 hitter in JUCO. You're a bunter too, right? Especially if you're the 9-hole guy to get the guy over for the leadoff guy, right? So, and I learned it from Tanner, percentages dictate what you do, right? But everybody's caught up on the analytics of that bunting should not happen, right? Or you're giving up an out. Brother, if the guy is 0 for 20 and he's your 9-hole, yeah, he's hitting 340 with 20 bombs, but he's not hitting right now. Why can't you bunt that guy over for the guy that's hot? Right? All you're doing is putting pressure on the defense. If the whole college baseball isn't practicing bunting, do you think that they're practicing bunt defense? No. So why not put some pressure on the defense and bunt the ball? Right now, it dictates. Right, you're not going to bunt with Christian Walker, even though I've seen Tanner do it.
Yeah, I think you just make a great point too. I know we've talked about this before, but like analytics, the game's so analytically driven, but you also have to have baseball instincts. And I mean, I'm not going to name any names. I think people can know who I'm talking about, but we've seen situations where, like, yes, there are moments where the numbers tell you something, but you just got to have some baseball instinct about you to know maybe that's not the best decision in that moment. Like it's got to be a balance. If you're purely just analytically driven, you're going to make mistakes. You just are. The numbers don't tell everything.
They don't. But it's easy to use it as a scapegoat.
Right.
Where this guy's hitting 400 against lefties. Okay, I understand the numbers, and the numbers are good. The problem is that you need to have a feel, right, for the game and for your players, right? A lot of the times, the guy on the mound dictates what you do, right? You're facing a guy, is it Ben Joyce from Tennessee?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you better be able to bunt that day, right? If you get a leadoff walk, that next guy better be able to bunt because the chances are you're not hitting that guy, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of times the guy on the mound dictates what you're doing at the plate. I don't like the bunt when I'm facing a guy that's very hittable, where we can crush this guy. He's a comfortable at bat. I'm not bunting, right? Even if it's my 9-hole. But if it's a guy on the mound that I know this is going to be a 3-2 ball game, we're going to try to score early, put some pressure on them. We're going to bunt. We're going to try to hit and run. We'll do those things. But again, it goes back to having some feel, right? And I think I've talked to you about this before where the numbers don't tell the whole story, right? You can put the Rapsodo TrackMan on your bullpen arms. And let's just, for instance, let's say Matt Price has the best slider, spin rate on the slider, right? Let's not say Matt Price because I'm going to use a profanity that I don't want Matt Price to be linked to. Let's just say another guy, right? Just another name, right? Adrian Morales, right? Best spin rate on the team, but he's got no balls, right? And the bases are loaded. Yeah, he might have the best spin rate, and the guy on that team doesn't hit sliders. But how do I know this guy's going to throw these strikes, these sliders for strikes, and he ain't going to bury 3 of them, right? Let me go get the second guy that's got a pretty good spin rate, but is my ballsy guy, right? The guy's not going to phase him, right? And again, like we've talked about this before, it goes back to knowing your guys, right? So the numbers don't tell the whole story. They can help you a little bit, but ultimately you got to go with your gut, right? And go with the guys that got you, then the guys that you trust. I'm big on that, brother. If I don't trust you, I don't care what your stuff looks like. I need to be able to trust you to be able to give you the ball in a key situation. Because if we lose and the guy I trust is in the bullpen, I will be wearing that and I won't be able to sleep for about a week and a half, right? And I do not want that, right? And your team knows, right? They trust this guy, might not have the best stuff, but they trust this guy to be ballsy, right? And if you bring in a guy that they trust too, they're gonna play behind you, right? And there's a mix, right? So the numbers are good. I don't think it tells the whole story, like you said.
Adrian, I'm going to get you out of here, man. I know we've been going for a while, and it's always a pleasure to chat with you. And I feel like I've always got to leave some things on the table for our next conversation because I just truly love doing these. But last thing, fun question for you. You had 96 RBI during your 2-year career in Columbia. What's the greater number, the number of RBIs you had or number of pitchers of beer you drank at Village Idiot in that same time span?
So I wasn't a beer guy at Village Idiot. They didn't have Hennessy, so I was more of a I can remember Derek used to pour it for me. Ginger and something else, man. I don't even know what the liquor was. You drink? What's
vodka?
No vodka. It was a darker drink.
Whiskey ginger?
No.
I don't know, man.
All I know is that
I'm stumped.
It used to be a double, but it was a good drink. They didn't have Hennessy when we won the national championship. Village Idiot went out and bought a bottle of Hennessy. But when we got back, I was able to drink some of that. Right. So
was it specifically for you?
Yes.
Per request, Adrian Morales request, Brian Glenn came through with the Hennessy.
It was Brian and Derek, the bartender. Yeah. Derek was huge. Like, as soon as he see me walk in, he had my double ready.
I love that.
Brother, there were good times, and it was, again, we took a cab home every time.
Right.
Right, we were responsible.
Pre-Uber days. This was pre-Uber days. Yeah.
Right, when you had to ride the taxis, right? Yeah. But man, it was good times, and we never did it during like season and stuff like that, right? We always did it after things ended, right? Where the weekend was over, okay, let's go party, right? And I think that says a lot about the team, right? Of let's focus on this, then we can go have our fun, right? If Coach Tanner hears this interview, he's gonna kill me.
Hey, like you said, not in season, after you win it all. Right. Could be worse.
Right.
Adrian, always a pleasure, my man. I appreciate you taking the time. Like I said, it's great to see you doing well, obviously, in your coaching career. And, I know fans hearing this interview, and anytime they hear hear you on the show, it's just great memories going back to 10, 11, and that great run under Coach Tanner. And hopefully more of that soon for sure in Columbia.
Yeah, man, pulling for those guys, man. Especially for Wingo, he's on the staff. I hope they turn it around. And I'm always pulling for those guys, man. That's my second home, and I want those guys to do well. I love the program, I love the fans, and it was a fun 2 years. And even when I was there as a student assistant, they always treated me with respect, and it was awesome.
For sure.
Appreciate you having me on the show, brother.
Yeah, man, absolutely. He's Adrian Morales. I'm Chris Phillips. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on another episode of the Spurs Up Show. Adrian, great stuff, man. That was incredible. It's always a pleasure. Like I said, I love talking ball with you, dude. How about, by the way, I didn't mention this on the show, 4 SEC West teams in Omaha, dude. I mean, what in the world, bro?
Amazing.
4 out of 7 are in Omaha. I mean, you talk about how good the league is. I mean, Ole Miss, the last team to get in, they just run through everybody. Like,
dude, let me tell you something. I watched that. I was there with my son at the game. Ole Miss.
Okay. Yeah, got you. Okay.
There, dude. And when it was 1-0, I just kept saying, you can't let these guys hang around.
Right.
You can't let these guys hang around. I just think that they're going to struggle because Miami wasn't good offensively.
Yeah.
Arizona wasn't good. Southern Miss is a mid-major.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think they'll struggle in Omaha. Mm-hmm. I like Bianco, and I think he does a hell of a job there. But I think they're going to be one of the first teams out.
Yeah. Who do you like? Who do you I mean, I'm sure you've watched a lot of baseball, but I don't know. Have you watched enough? Dude, I do too. Dude, the Hogs. Don't let the Hogs get hot. And
I like Arkansas, brother.
They're peaking at the right time. They're peaking at the right time.
They are. And you can say that about Ole Miss, but look what they had to go through, right? They didn't have to go through a tough regional, right? Miami got eliminated early. They didn't even have to beat them to get there. They had to beat Arizona.
Yeah.
Right? Then they played a Southern Miss where it's a mid-major where up and down the lineup, they got better guys than them. Mm-hmm. Right? So I think Arkansas has a chance. Dude, I'm telling you, Notre Dame.
They got arms, man. They have got arms on arms.
They got arms, brother. They just compete, and dude, they don't waver.
They're the favorite. They're the gambling favorite.
They are?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, they're the gambling. A&M has the worst odds, which I think is interesting. I like A&M. I think Schlossnagel's a great coach.
What's their thing? What do they do well, A&M?
I think it's a little bit of everything, honestly. Hitting. They're more. I think they're heavier hitting, but I mean, they just kind of quietly beat Louisville's ass to get to Omaha. I mean, it's just whatever. But I like Schloss a lot. I mean, they were picked to finish 6th in the West and won the West. So he's done a hell of a job. Hell of a job.
And that's why ultimately those rankings don't mean shit.
Right. Especially in baseball. I mean, especially in baseball, they don't. No, they don't. I mean, Tennessee was picked to finish like 3rd. I mean, and they were. I mean, I'd still tell you this, age. You might disagree, but I felt like, and I still feel like when you look back on this season, we'll say Tennessee was the best team, top to bottom, but they just did not play their best baseball when, like you said, like the pressure changes everything. So, were they the best team, top to bottom, best arms, best bats? Probably yes, but they didn't have the guts and the balls on the big stage that like a Notre Dame did. I think it looked like to me, they looked like they were pressing unlike any time I'd seen all year. Like they were this fun, play loose.
Right.
That super, they were asshole was this tight. Like they knew they were supposed to win it all. And I think it looked like that bothered them a little bit. So I don't know.
But let me tell you something. They win the game if the third baseman makes the throw to first.
Yeah.
He made a big time error that opened up the floodgates.
Yeah.
And kept the inning alive. Right. So again, dude, it's when you're supposed to win and you're the favorite,
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Oh yeah. Because I mean, you guys weren't even the 1 seed in 11, right? I mean,
no, we weren't.
No,
weren't.
Yeah.
We felt though that we were.
Yeah.
Right. And then
Which it's crazy how good that 11 team was and was not the 1 seed. I
right.
Yeah.
But dude, when you think about it, when you lose Blake Cooper, you lose Sam Dyson, right? So we had Michael Roth, who was our number 2.
Yeah.
Tyler Webb, Forrest Kumis, and Kobe Holmes. Right? We pieced it together.
Yeah.
We weren't the best team on the mound, stuff-wise. We had the best arm in Michael Roth, but we weren't the best team like on the mound with like dudes.
Yeah, and it was Virginia. It was Virginia that was the 1 seed that year.
Right, where Holson
and Florida was the 2.
Holson comes out of the game because he got a stomach ache. Fucking pussy, dude.
What I'm about to say, what like that to me seemed insane. I remember that. I do remember that.
He punched out 8 or 9 guys.
Yeah, he was dealing.
Dude, I couldn't believe they pulled him. I couldn't believe he asked out.
He only went like what, 3 innings, maybe 4.
I think he went 3 innings exactly.
Yeah.
I think somebody flew out, and this is how you know we were gonna win.
Yeah.
Somebody hit a foul ball, and the whole dugout was clapping for the foul ball because we had finally made contact. Michael Roth was like, "Hey, we fouled all!" Ah!
Yeah.
Right. So that's how stupid and loose the dugout was.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I did love hearing too when they said Oklahoma. It was the first time they've been back to Omaha since 2010. So that brought up good memories.
Yeah,
yeah. OU and Texas though. That's Texas. I mean, God, it's crazy how college baseball, how crazy it was this year because Texas was ranked, I think, number 1 at one point. Arkansas was ranked number 1. Ole Miss was ranked number 1. Right. And now they're all there. So, it's going to be fun. It's an interesting field for sure. It's a very, but dude, it's Miami's the last team to be the number 1 overall seed and win it all. 99. They're the last ones to do it.
Wow.
So I don't know, man. Just the pressure, I guess. It's the pressure. But anyways, I'll let you go, Adrian. I appreciate the time, man. Seriously, it's always a pleasure. I'll have it up tomorrow and I'll tag you on social media and all that good stuff. But dude, again, really appreciate you, man. Glad you're doing well and appreciate the love on the content and all that stuff. And I know we'll stay in touch. So
yeah, man. Keep me posted anytime, brother.
Yeah, man. Take care. Later.